Okay, so it's me again. So I know that we have a very fruitful discussion a while ago, and today we shall discuss bilingualism. So we are Filipinos are well known for being bilingualists. Why? Because we Filipinos know more than one language. We are uh, we're like our other people kasi we've been colonized by other countries before, so we know some language. And aside from that, since we're an archipelago, it is known that we have different languages. So, what is bilingualism? In many countries, regional variations in languages is not a new trend. So, we all have different language. This is a major common phenomenon that is happening in every place. Bilingualism is not, after all, a new concept since it is rooted in colonization times. Traveling has become a major contributor and concept of bilingualism. So aside from that, we are also aware that we travel a lot aside from being colonized by other countries. Globalization is also part of why we have a lot of bilingualist people who speak more than one language. Okay. Bilinguals are associated scales, label, and dichotomies that constitute a basis of debates over who is bilingual. Further, bilingualism does not only mean individuals speaking two types of languages, but it can also refer to communities that have two languages which are considered to be official. So if, for example, two official languages, you are already bilingual. So most Filipinos, I think all of us are bilinguals because we speak two major two languages. Right? In this section, of course, you will know the concept of bilingualism in everyday use. Since this is just a short lesson, let us take this free test. Put a mark in your answer. When the child is introduced or exposed to two languages, there's a big possibility that he will learn this language together on the same rate of efficiency. Is that true or false? Okay, so what do you think? It could be true because he or she will learn. It could be false because um, he cannot understand two things at the same time. So let us begin with lesson proper. To understand what bilingualism is, we try to think about how languages work and intertwine between each other. Let us look at the words bicycle and binoculars. Bakit sila bi? Kasi dalawa. Okay? Dalawa sila. So, ibig sabihin, the use of the prefix by, you know that it is two. Okay, so there are different dimensions of bilingualism according to Valdez and Figueroa. So, classified daw ang bilinguals one by age. It plays an important factor in developing bilingualism in an individual. When someone is considered to be bilingual simultaneous, he can learn languages that he knows since childhood. So since a child is introduced or exposed to two languages, there is a big possibility that he will learn this language together at the same rate of proficiency. So the first answer, um, that is the first answer to the first pre-test. You could learn it. Okay, so the answer is true. Talagang, there's a possibility na malaman ng bata. That is why you need to expose your child, future children, both in your mother tongue and also English as part of our um, uh, communication for others. We also have bilingual sequential, ano naman yon, which pertains to a person who was able to develop languages one after the other. Last one, which is bilingual late, refers to a person who develops second language at a late age. So if you learn the language at different age, of course, for example, you start your people who would like to work in Japan, it must pass a test. This test, you must learn how to speak Japanese. Kasi most of you speak and write Japanese. Why? Because most of in Japan, it will be hard for you not to speak those languages. So we could say that they are bilingual late kasi for work purposes na siya. Ability refers to the understanding of bilinguals. Receptive are people who can only understand a language but cannot say it. So, ito yung mga tao na, for example, yung mga, ayan, for example, you always, since you're exposed to the language but hindi mo siya talaga masyado inaaral, and for example, some people who grew up abroad, so they have a mother na Filipino. The common scenario is their mother is a Filipino and their father is an American. So sometimes some Filipinos do not teach their kids to speak in Filipino. They teach their kids to speak in English. So nangyayari is sometimes the mother, the Filipina woman or Filipino, would speak in Tagalog. Ay, naku, ayusin mo nga yung kalat mo, ganyan, gumaganon. Siyempre, that is, those are the common scenarios of raising a child. Is you say that, look at your, lalo na paggalit, di ba, ay mga Pilipino lumalabas yun. Sasabi na, anak, hindi naman, yan. So, the anak, which is a PhilAm, can recognize, it could see receptive siya kapag naiintindihan niya yung sinasabi ng nanay niya, but he cannot speak it. So, yun yung, may mga tao kasi talagang gano'n. Receptive ang tawag sa kanila. Productive naman are people who can understand and use this language in conversation. So, he could speak and he could fluently, mahirap din man kasi maging fluent sa ibang language, but as long as you could speak and understand, pwede yan. Some people then, usually yan, mga PhilAm, nakakapagsalita sila. Kaya nga lang, syempre, since their mother tongue is in English, the way they pronounce words ay may slang. Nakakain ka na ba? Kasi that is how they pronounce it in English. That is the way they speak in English. Para lang yan pag nagtagalog ka, ay pag nag-English ka pero Filipino ka, how could you say that I could, diba, parang gano'n lang yun. Kasi nga, ina-associate mo, hindi lang mo, Tagalog na Tagalog. Si Coco Martin, Tagalog na Tagalog, helicopter. Di ba, yun din sa movie nila with Tony Gonzaga. So, gano'n din naman sa English. Kapag sanay ka naman sa, if you are used to speaking in English, tapos magsasalita ka ng Tagalog, you have a soft voice. Kasi diba nakikita, kasi nga diba sa atin ang a lang, for example, bata, a lang yan, a. Sa English, nakikita mo ba? Kaya sila ganun kasi they have various sounds, and most of the time yung a nila hindi naman a, it's a. So that's actually nagiging problema. Incipient naman refers to a person who only knows the basic greetings of a language. Ayan. So, those people na yung, mahal ko kayo. Sa mga Koreano, yung mga gano'n. Yun lang alam nila. Basic greetings. Hello, kumusta ka? Gano'n, yun. Incipient ang tawag ko. And sometimes we become incipient, especially if, for example, we would like to go to other countries and we would like to know how to greet. Ayan. Or maybe you have someone, a foreigner, and you would like to entertain the foreigner. So, incipient ang tawag. The balance of two languages refers to if both languages have the same proficiency level. In some bilinguals, one language is more developed than other. Of course, it happens. Even if you are familiar with a lot of words, kaya lang, syempre, meron ka mas proficient. It could be kung saan ka mas focus, and of course, which you usually use every day. In terms of development of language, some bilinguals have ascendant development of their language, which means that their skill is increasing. The opposite of the recessive, which means language proficient, is decreasing. Sometimes, the more we learn, the more the speed of increasing knowledge mas bumibilis. But there are times na when we learn language, lalo siyang lumalala. Or for example, na nag-information overload ka na, medyo nawala lahat ng minsan it happens. Context is when language is acquired and used such as in school, home, church, and other places in which language is necessary. For example, context, we must not forget that there are languages in school kung saan ka madalas. Ayun. Those are the different languages that you acquire. So bahay, ito yung language. Yun. So yun yung context. The person could for example, my father is he's a seaman before, foreigner. Most of the things that he knows, if you like to ask him to speak in English, is kasi naman formally nag-aral si daddy. So, ano siya, more on work-related English. Because that is what he usually use. That's why for us, for example, kausap namin siya, sanay siya na underway na kami. Underway? What's underway? I think it's on the way. It's not. It's not kasi sanay siya na underway. Why? Underway kasi ginagamit nila sa ship. Underway na sila. So sa atin, on the way, underway. So the words that you are using, yung context, doon naka-apply kasi doon sila nag-work. Next naman is the sixth dimension was added, circumstantial and elective bilingualism. Ano yun? Elective bilingualism refers to individuals who choose to learn a language. For example, in the classroom, elective bilinguals came from majority language groups. They choose to add second language without losing their first language. So, these people, yung kagaya ng sa atin, nag-aaral ka because we need to, we don't want to remove the language, but rather we need it for work purposes. Circumstantial bilinguals are learners for another language, who want to survive because of their situation. For example, the immigrants, they need another language. So ito, yung elective bilingualism is when we are here in the Philippines, we want to learn because of this. However, circumstantial bilinguals naman are people that they need to know it because they need to survive. For example, immigrant ka ng, you really need to sell, really need to apply for a job. For example, hindi ka, nasa China ka. And you need to learn that language. Hindi lang English eh. You need to learn their language so that you will have more customers and you need to be more exposed. Ayun. So, you need that for survival. Another example dito binigay nila yung mga Latinos in the United States. They learn language kasi they are there. They're immigrants there. Yung mga actually yung mga yun, yung mga nauna, sila pinilit nilang maintindihan. And kasi wala na naging problema sa mga anak. There are 4 language abilities. If the check on the statement, are you bilingual? This issue becomes what ability? So these are the stated abilities can be divided into dimensions. So we have receptive and productive skills. The oracy, and literacy. Pag sinabing receptive, sino yung pumapasok sa atin? Which is the listening and reading. So, oracy, productive naman yung nilalabas natin, which is the speaking and writing. Oracy is oral, makikita mo siya, or orally nangyayari, like listening and speaking. And literacy naman is when you are reading and writing. So, it is divided into... Wait lang. Okay. So, yun. The illustration tells us to avoid a simple way to classify who is or not bilingual. Some people speak a language but do not read or write because it's hard actually to read or write using different language. I know some of you are, as far as I know now, you are learning Mandarin. You are writing little by little, character by character, but writing a complete sentence, having a different thought, writing a research paper or a reflection paper using the Mandarin is actually harder than what you think. Yun yung sa writing. May mga kayo, the first thing, of course, you will do is you will learn how to speak, but not all people could easily write. Some understand when they listen with sufficient understanding, and others read a language but do not write or speak the language. For example, nakakatawa yung sa mga first learners, nakikita ko yung mga friends ko that they are learning Japanese language. Every time na nakakita sila ng words, ito, ang ibig sabihin nito, gumagano sila, nagpa-practice sila. Especially those students then that is a fan of Korean language. Yun. Nag-hanggul sila. Tama na pala yun, hanggul. Some people understand and spoken language but do not speak the language. To characterize people as either monolinguals or bilinguals, we need to return to the opening analogies. The two wheels of bilingualism exist in different sizes and styles. So it's easy. It's not easy to to learn who is bilingual and who is not. The four basic language abilities don't exist in white and black. Okay? Between them, there are shades of grays of various colors and landscape of the language abilities. So, napakahirap malaman ng kung sino ang bilingual. Reading ability can range from simple to basic, to fluent and accomplished. So, some people could understand one context, but some people could have academic lecture. Mahirap yung sa shops kasi, you could just see it most of the time. Pattern, mas madali kasi mas madaming options. However, when it comes to academic writing, you really need to research. Kahit nga sa English, mahirap mag-academic writing. Pero mas mahirap mag-academic writing when you're using Filipino language. There are skills within skills, traditionally listed as a pronunciation, sa iba-iba yun. So when functional bilingualism is studied as a real speech event, it is suggests that there are 8 interrelated categories mnemonically represented by the word speaking. So, 1. Setting of place, time, and physical appearance of the context of the speech event such as arrangement, furniture equipped in the classroom. So, setting of place and time is also important to know, to learn. Okay? So, sometimes a conducive environment is very important. Next, participant identity. For example, personal characteristics such as age, ethnicity, gender, and relationship. Of course, we are well aware that when it comes to Filipino students are better, and Indian actually. Kaya lang sa Indian, meron silang words na hindi nila naalis. Yung iba, some have accents. But most of the time, Filipino students, kayang-kaya niya, and Indian. Kasi pareho tayo na we are using the language for business purposes and we are exposed to the language. However, when it comes to Indian, some of them have a tone. Sa Filipino din naman some, but not all the time. Kasi mas madaling bali-baliin yung dila ng Filipino. Well, it can say, it can imitate, British, yeah, born to move. So, compared to other nationalities. So, of course, hindi mo pwedeng pagtabihin yung isame ng level yung Filipino at saka yung, for example, ano ba for example, yung Chinese na wala talagang alam. I mean, hindi siya nagkaroon ng proper training. Ngayon kasi some of the Chinese are very good in English. And some Koreans also, but not all. So, it's hard for them to understand it. Kaya kailangan na magkakasama yung mga magkakasame ng age. Magkakasame ng levels. And includes the purpose of the speech event as well as individual goals of the participants. So you must know, ano ba ang goals mo? What is your goal for today? Why did you enroll in this language? So, for example, you learned French. Why did you want to learn French? Let's face the fact. For example, kasi I have a boyfriend which is French and I want to talk to him. Ayun. Kasi may mga iba talaga. That's the reason why they want to learn the different language so that they could talk to their future husband and wife. So, most of the time, the thing is, you will teach that a conversation. More on conversation sila so that they could understand. However, for example, why do you want to learn French? Because I have a business in France and I have a business there and I want to learn more and so that I could know their culture. So yun, kung business purposes siya, it will be a very harder core pa. Kasi more on business. Kaya nga may tinatawag tayo ng business English. So, you need to learn the language, preferably yung context pa, kasi mas gusto mo mas malalim. Maraming context, maraming words related there. So, magkaiba yon if personal and business. And especially if you will have the academic purpose because you want to study there. If you want to study there, this is more extensive activities and everything. Kasi you want to study there and mas mabigat yung study nila. Of course, kung dito nga sa English and Filipino, nahihirapan tayo to study. How much more if, for example, the people are, you will go to other country and the medium speaking is not your second language, so it will be very hard. So you should know why your participants want to learn English. And why the participants learn this language? A naman is for sequence refers to the order of organization of the interaction of what topics are to be discussed. So now you know what age, why will they use now. Since you already know the students' capabilities, what they want, you can now proceed with the program. Doon ka pala papasok ng program. For example, especially in business English, you will make a curriculum based on the needs of the learners. So, for example, meron siyang ito yung mga courses na dapat take so that you could learn this. Organize mo siya, pahirap ng pahirap. Hindi pwede na mauna yung mahirap bago madali. Kasi, you will assess, do you think the student knows these words? Do you think the students could speak the language? Yun. Next is K, key or tone and manner which something is said or written. So it is important that you will know, of course, number one, for the teacher to have more enthusiastic words. And aside from that, the key or tone and manner said or written, they should know how does it look like. For example, in Japan, they have they don't have po and opo unlike in Filipino language, meron silang po at opo. So they are using some words to some words are only used for this kind of adult. When you are talking to your head or your boss, this is the words that you are used. Of course, they should know that these are the tone that you use. And for example, kaya nasabi ko sa inyo kanina a while ago, hi, hello is not, some teachers, some professors, some bosses do not want to have hi, hello kasi it's rude. And but if you will use it for your friends, it's fine. Okay, so isa yun. Next naman is instrumentalities or linguistic code. For example, the language used and whether the form of speech or literary. So instrumentalities, what are the things that you would use in order to talk. Norm are standard social cultural rules, interaction to relationship. What are the different norms, standards that this country believes in? Baka mamaya, you are making a big trouble by when we teach students, we should also teach the culture. We should not be like this. They believe in this. They believe in that. For example, you will go to Saudi, and they have different culture from Filipinos. For example, yung Muslim kasi, if they could relate it. However, if they're not Muslim, it's a different word. Okay. So, for example, if you will go, one of the things that you will teach them is that we have different cultures. You cannot say this. You cannot do this. You cannot. Your hair must not be shown, not unless like this one. You must learn how to respect their culture. So respect is very important. Okay. Next one is genre or types of events such as sermon, lecture, poetry, or letter. So kasama yun kung paano sila magsusulat, magbabasa, or so I think that's all for today. And we are already done with the module. I'm happy because at least tapos na tayo. Okay, so goodbye everyone. See you when I see you. Ay, hindi. Hindi pala. And stop recording na natin.